I just got the email from In Search of Darkness that my DVD's on its way. I'm like, all right, yay, it's coming.
How the fuck did you get yours? I didn't even get mine yet.
I got mine yesterday.
I hate you so much.
It hates you.
I think it does.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Film Asylum. We are your hosts, Colin Peters,
John Rashetter,
and Jeff Manfred.
Well, guys, we got a triple threat today.
In a cage match?
It could be. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be pro wrestling we're going to be talking about. This is going to be, it's going to be our favorite genre, horror, but I think I was more scared to watch the last two movies just to power through for this episode.
I think we both were. All of us were.
Oh, yeah. God.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of curious about the 2006. Because I'm like, I remember it being brutal, but that was all I could remember.
How brutal. Yeah.
We have a triple threat going on here where it's an original versus a remake versus another remake, and that is the horror genre's Black Christmas.
Yes. 1974's original Black Christmas, directed by Bob Clark. This is a movie he made 9 years before A Christmas Story, which is regarded as one of the best Christmas movies of all time. And it is. And this guy made a horror movie. He made two great Christmas movies, and they couldn't be more polar opposite. I mean, I really enjoyed the original Black Christmas a lot because it came out 4 years before the success of Halloween, and it sort of was a trailblazer to the slasher genre going through the modern age.
A bit, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre that also came out in 74. Like, those two movies could go hand in hand. It's just...
I'm like looking at you like, I feel like you're kind of stretching there. Like, you got really...
Do you want me to continue? Do you want me to go on,
I'm just saying, like, if you think about it, you've got a cannibalistic murdering family with chainsaws and sharp objects and one dude that impales people with a fucking unicorn head. I'm just saying there wasn't much of a, like, thing that kind of crosses him over. And like, I wouldn't even consider this a real slasher because there really wasn't much being shown either. Like, yeah, you got to see, I think, maybe one kill fully, and that was even iffy. And I don't think it was really a pioneer looking at it coming from the point of view, like a point of view shot, because if you look at it from that, Psycho was more of the original for that concept than any other one.
But before Psycho, there was Peeping Tom.
Exactly. So there are other ones out there. It's just not really a pioneer made for Canadian horror, but not
that's
really.
That's right. It was filmed in Canada. Yeah. That's right.
But really nothing there. It was like, yeah, okay, you got a Christmas horror movie. Go with it.
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of structure, in terms of like how the kills are set up and how the sequence of events progresses, as well as not knowing the character's motivation, the killer's motivation, because did Michael Myers have a motive in Halloween? Not really, just going around killing people. And so this guy, Billy, I think his name is Billy in the original too. What was his motive?
Like you guys were talking about it earlier. So what is with Billy and killing people on Christmas? I'm just saying, we got Silent Night, Deadly Night, you got this fucking movie. So
that's right, his name was...
Well, there's also outside of Christmas. Remember a few years ago when there was a story about a Power Ranger that actually murdered somebody?
What?
I remember it was brought up, and yeah, I guess he got arrested and he was going to get the death penalty. And I remember when I would tell people about that, the first thing everybody would ask me is, was it Billy? I kid you not. That's a true story. And I'm like, why does everybody just think it's Billy? Poor David Yost, man. He got harassed on set, and now he's getting harassed in real life.
That's horrible.
I know. And here it was like some dude from like one of the other spin-offs. I think it was actually a Red Ranger, too.
Like Dino Island?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that was the name. I know it was
like
dinosaurs involved, but I'm not sure if that was the name of the TV
That's like
series.
the concept of most of the seasons. Oh, there's a dinosaur involved. Yes.
Space Samurai. But yeah, like you said, like you don't really see... You do see on-screen kills for the original Black Christmas. You have the first victim. We're going to get into spoilers. I think that's pretty obvious.
Dude, it's what? 46 years, almost 50, and you're now going, oh, spoilers.
Well, it's for the other movies that we're going to be talking about eventually, too, because the one came out, what, a year and a half ago? No, a year ago.
Yeah, it came out Friday the 13th in December.
Thank you, Colin. You said it best. But yeah, you do see a lot of on-screen kills. The first one getting suffocated with a bag over her head, you see that happening, and then the other sorority
Not really,
sister.
dude. They cut away. Like, a lot of the shots.
You want to talk about cutaway? You talk about the one last year. That's a cutaway. That's a lazy excuse of a cutaway. It's not even a full cutaway. Fuck that shit. You're going to hear from me later on about that.
Wow. What's up there, Colin? You kind of just sitting here watching?
I'm just
Are you just going to sit in the corner and be quiet?
I don't. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
We kind of throw that concept out the window.
Yeah, I'm waiting until later.
Okay.
I actually, when it comes to Black Christmas, the original, I actually enjoyed it for the most part. Everything from beginning to end. Ending was kind of lackluster.
Yeah,
I mean, Jeff and I talked about that for a little bit. The concept of it's pretty simple. That, like you said, John, it was about a killer nobody knows about. Here it winds up, he's living in the attic of this fraternity house. I forget the actress's name, but she was known for being in Romeo and Juliet. She played Juliet, and then she was even in
It? Yeah, the original.
Oh, okay.
She was
Who was she?
Audra.
Oh, wow,
Audrey?
okay.
Audrey?
Oh, I think, yeah.
How about that? Okay.
She was also Norman Bates' mom in Psycho 4, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you also have Margot Kidder and you have John Saxon.
What
a
is
couple
her
other
name?
known names.
Olivia something?
Looking it up right now.
I don't know, but
Olivia.
I think John Saxon did an amazing job.
Yeah, I enjoyed John Saxon. He was like the chief of police.
Yep.
Or
A detective.
okay.
Lieutenant Ken Fuller. That's what he is in IMDb.
I also didn't realize that Black Christmas came out before the movie When a Stranger Calls.
Okay.
And it was inspired by the true story about that, where the stranger calls the babysitter and says, "Have you checked the children?" And he just keeps calling and calling and calling. And I found that was very interesting how they took that inspiration, put that into the story for Black Christmas, and the killer after a kill would call and leave these like disgruntled or distorted like messages.
They were really disturbing messages. Like, you couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman that was speaking because it was almost like the character was speaking in tongues and there were like animal noises in the background.
Just jumbly and
jumbly. It made the movie more unsettling. I think that definitely added the element to why it makes it a little creepier than most slasher movies.
And I think for all that, it was 4 different people on that phone. Because it was the original kid who played Billy. The director did some of the screaming, and then they got a woman and a child to do some of the other stuff.
So
interesting.
you think this killer has a split personality where he's got multiple different personalities taking over his body, or her body. We don't know.
Well, you kind of find out towards the end.
You do, yeah. I gotta say, sucks to be the cops going from the switchboard trying to figure out who the hell is the killer because the guy had to run from one switchboard to another, keep the killer on the phone because if he cuts out too short, we won't be able to hone in on where the call's coming from.
And that's another thing I liked about the movie, that the cops weren't bumbling and stupid. They actually cared about
The one was.
Yeah, but you have the one, but for the most part...
He had a prank pulled on him.
Like we said, John Saxon, he was a guy who was actually serious about solving the case and trying to protect the girls. Here it turns out that all the girls wind up dying except for the one. And another thing that keeps you on a cliffhanger is that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought that played a big part in how it makes you feel for her. And she was not, out of all the girls, she was probably like one of the more nicer ones that you really cared for and you could feel with because she was just wanting to go through college, do her thing. And what was it, her boyfriend? Wasn't he on the fence of like whether or not to keep the baby, not keep the like she wanted to get rid of it, but I think he wanted to keep
the baby.
And that actually made him a prime suspect because of how disgruntled he really was. Even John Saxon's like, yo, where was he? And he just started rattling off times, and she's like, oh, he should have been here. And then all of a sudden they go and find out there's like more evidence, like kind of pointing towards him being the killer, when there is really another killer out there.
Yeah, he's got a motive, and he's showed some signs of hostility, especially when it comes to he wanted to be married to her because he was kind of forcing marriage down her throat. You need to keep the child, and she didn't want to do it, so that led for a lot of drama. Yeah, I mean, like, we talked a little bit about, like, the on-screen, off-screen kills, but I do like how most of it was kept in shadow, so you could see just enough what was happening whether it was the bag strangulation, whether it was the hook swinging in the attic that got the one actress, pulling her up, and then the unicorn statue, or the unicorn statue. But it does keep you guessing as to, you think something's terrible happening to Margot Kidder in the one scene, but you turned out she was just having like an allergy, or she has asthma or something.
Yeah,
that's right.
And isn't she smoking and drinking?
Yeah.
It's been a while
Yeah.
since I've seen the original, but I just want to say that when I did see it for the first time, I'm not saying that the original is the best because that's the cliche thing. It really was good. Like, I actually was kind of like not expecting it to be as good as it was or enjoy it as I thought it would, but I was like, no, I wouldn't mind watching it again.
No, seriously, I wouldn't mind. Yeah. Just from the opening, it's kind of unsettling for me. You hear them playing, or these carolers singing a Christmas song, and it's really distorted. You can hear like the bells sound like they're out of tune. Kind of setting up for what's going to happen.
They even do the first-person view shots, kind of like in John Carpenter's Halloween, when Michael Myers walks around the house. They have your perspective of the killer, and he's climbing up, hedge bushes or something, or trim, whatever.
I think it's the stupid thing on the side of the house that has plants that grow through it. What the hell is that called?
Yeah, like where the ivy vines go through it, and that's how
a lattice or something. Yeah,
that's the word.
A lattice. Yeah.
But like the funny thing is, the guy actually wore the camera, the camera guy. He designed his set up because you don't have a Steadicam at the time. He designed something he could wear, just so that the camera actually looked like a point of view.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And I thought that was actually, when I found that out, I was like, damn, that's actually way ahead of its time.
They're pioneers.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think Steadicam came until Rocky.
Yeah.
And even the cameraman invented that.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Like you see shots that have been Steadicam like throughout years, like in Exorcist, but they said they built a pulley or something to take the whole camera and stuff when it came to shots that would have to go upstairs. So, but it was because of Rocky and the boxing in the ring that they had to move around, because they said that typical boxing movies were just cut here, cut there, and John Avildsen said, no, I want to change this up and make it more interesting to watch, because most of the time boxing fights in movies are boring, which they were.
They were at the time, yeah, and long continuous shots so that you can see everything happening. So, It's good stuff. I do see a lot of Bob Clark's humor comparing from A Christmas Story to Black Christmas, especially when the one boyfriend has to dress up like Santa Claus to appease the kids at the sorority house, and he doesn't want to interact with the kids at all. He's like, ho, fuck.
I love how they
that is
like
definitely
Santa Claus
his
language.
Yes. And then 9 years later, you get, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
I don't really have many issues though with the original Black Christmas, because I think it kind of.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into them?
I was like Colin because he looks like he wants to say something, and I don't want to step on his toes.
No, I was just gonna say that Jeff and I had this conversation about it, where it's not a terrible movie, but yet I don't feel like it's a great movie because there are issues with it, and it has a steady pacing storytell to it. But the end of the movie is just so lackluster that sometimes it feels like it kind of kills it.
Yeah.
Overall, it's still like very good to watch, but then you're just kind of like, oh man, that's it?
I can see that with the police investigation, with them wrapping up the case or trying to wrap up the case. It just kind of felt like they were sort of at the end of the line and they knew it as the filmmakers, so they just kind of slowed things down, or they kind of sped things up. It wasn't really told right, I think, the very
like
end.
They just needed to finish the movie and gave you the ending. I can get a sense of
I
that.
did like the final shot, the very final shot, how it was just this zoom out with the one victim with the bag over her head, where they didn't discover her body, and she's looking out through the window as the cop is still on the front porch, and then the credits are rolling. I thought that was really creepy. But the scenes that happened before that, yeah, I can see it being a little lackluster.
Like, honestly, my major issue with it is some of the build-ups were kind of taken away because I think they were trying too hard with the humor. Like, if they were trying to set it up to be a scary movie, they should have, like, backed off the humor a little bit before the kills or a little bit before the calls. Not, like, pretty much, oh, we're going to do some humor right up to the point, oh, he's murdering somebody. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You trying to make it a little bit funnier? Cool. But that ending is what killed it for me. Like I remember enjoying it, and then as I'm watching it again, I think it was like Monday of this week. I'm like, yeah, that ending just killed it for me. I'm like, there's nothing. It literally ends. You get to see the chick with the bag on her head, like you said. That was probably like my favorite part about the whole thing was that chick has been in that window since the beginning of the movie. She essentially is almost the first kill.
Yeah, she is. Or
that we see.
There was that one body that was discovered in the park, and you don't see the gruesome event. You just see the actors' reactions to seeing this dead girl that was discovered in the park, and it's so horrifying that they didn't even want to show it. Which that leads you to play with your imagination. Oh my God, what did he or she do to this person? How brutal was the death?
And then, honestly, if you look throughout the movie, this girl is still sitting in the window.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't check it out. Like, the first couple times I watched it, I'm like, all right, cool, they probably didn't do anything with it. No, like, I was actually looking for it this time. Like, yeah, you see an outline in the window most of the times. I'm like, wait, they just left that poor girl there? Like, here, just sit there. They're still getting paid, right?
Yep. Just don't breathe.
And then, like, the way the police handled everything, like, she ends up, spoiler alert, killing the boyfriend because she's afraid that he is the killer. And that's it. They're like, oh, cool, he did it. By the way, we're not even going to check the rest of the fucking house.
Yeah, that's what I was like, what the hell? And then on top of it, she's just laying on the couch, and they just leave her there.
Oh, yeah,
like, well, take her to the hospital. Where's the 24 or all-night care just to make sure she's all right? No, they just leave her on the couch in the house.
The one girl's dad ends up fainting because, like, oh, it's over. My daughter's dead. That's it. And like, oh, we got to get her to the hospital. No. Somebody needs to stay with her. You just drugged the shit out of her. They're like, be out for another 4 or 5 hours. Somebody needs to stay. You know what they do? They leave a cop on the front step. That's it. That's all you need. No medical care. No.
Well, they already had one cop got his throat slit in the cop car. He wasn't responding. Like, there's something seriously wrong. Yeah, they'd sent the one cop at the very end just to stand on the porch and just sort of be a guard.
Yeah. By the way, there's nothing in the house whatsoever. Just that girl. You just sit here. Don't do anything.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. They're not searching the attic, and then the police investigation, very lackluster, just like the ending, the prelude to the ending.
I feel like it was like, oh, let's just turn a flashlight on. They looked in rooms like, oh, cool, there was a body. All right, that's it. They just pulled the sheets off, rolled it up, called it a day.
Because you wouldn't let that person still be in that house.
No.
It's a crime scene.
No, take it to the hospital.
Everything and everybody would be out of that fucking house and into the hospital or at the police station, and it was like, oh, no, just let her lie here. And I was like, I mean, it did add to that layer because it kind of makes you believe that it's possible it could have been the boyfriend, but then really you find out, no, I mean, you do have to realize that it was Billy from like that 5-second flash that they show of the killer.
Yeah, because they show his one eye's like bright fucking red.
Yeah.
And then also it's actually a really cool shot where you can tell he has like some poofy curly hair and his eyes are all wide open and manic looking, but there's shadows covering his face and bright light behind him. And that's pretty much the biggest glimpse that you see of the killer.
Yeah.
And like I said, it goes back to that after a kill, he calls up the house, and then after you find out she's just laying on the couch and everybody leaves, the phone rings, and it's like, oh, okay.
And that's actually how the movie ends. It's like, the phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing. I'm like, the cop's right there. Are you sure he's not going to pick up the fucking phone too?
Yeah.
Like, somebody's calling.
It'd been creepier if the cop wasn't there. Everybody was out of the house, at the hospital, or the police station, and you just had that body at the window just watching everything. That would have been creepier if there wasn't no cop there. The phone's ringing, you see the body, and then the credits start rolling. But, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, because that would leave more open interpretation.
Yeah.
Just like, why is the phone ringing if...
I'm sorry, you keep talking about his body. You forgot about the fucking cat licking the body throughout the movie.
Oh my god, the cat. That's right.
I'm gonna call her den mother. She has a cat. Its name is Claude. I'm like, fucking cat's
house
Claude.
mother.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And at one point she's looking for the cat. He's sitting on the girl's lap while she's sitting in the attic with the bag on her face, and all of a sudden he like crawls up her chest and starts licking the bag on her face. I'm like, some of that dark humor. And then I'm like, wait. Was that cat there the whole time then? Just like chilling out like, oh, cool, I got a lap to sit on.
The cat had a say in this.
Yeah.
The cat was the accomplice.
Probably was. I need a fresh lap to sit on.
And there isn't much of a story to Billy. Like John said earlier, there's no motive about him. There's nothing, like, we don't see him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just his eyes and that one shadowy image of him, and that's all we know. Like, I don't even think we know if he was in a psychiatric hospital.
I mean, that's what makes it more terrifying for me, is not knowing these characters' motivations and not having a clear backstory about them, because it leads to our imagination playing, what was this person like? What was you don't know.
Well,
it's up to you.
Not only that, but it's a great introduction, because then it leads you to want to know more. It's like, well, what exactly was Freddy Krueger? You know, what exactly like motivates Jason? And in some of those movies, they kind of did tell, and then they kind of didn't. But with Black Christmas, you didn't get sequels. You got remakes.
You got one movie and you got two remakes.
From what they were saying, though, they were trying to give enough backstory between the phone calls to show what was actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when he was talking about his parents, and I think her name is Agatha, it's supposed to be like, all right, we're going to put little glimpses into his backstory. Like, if it seems like he was abused and stuff like that, but it was not like blatantly like, yeah, this is what fucked him up.
Oh, you're talking about 2006 now?
No, the original.
Oh,
so if you
original.
actually listen to the phone calls as they're happening, like, yeah, they were just noises, and there's actually like the screaming and I guess the conversation that he's having with himself.
Yeah.
You actually get some of the backstory.
That's clever.
Yeah. And I'm like, if you didn't notice it the first time, you would start picking up on it a second or third watch through. So,
Wow.
wow.
It's difficult to talk about.
I know.
We're going to get emotionally involved.
This is the first time. But, like, I was actually watching it with some commentary on. That's how I started picking up on it. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like you said, there's nothing for the guy. So that would lead why they used it more in the 2006 remake.
2006. Black Xmas, if you will. That was how it was marketed. That's how I remember it being marketed, was Black Xmas, not Black Christmas.
Because you can't have the Christ and Christmas, you know?
Or say National Prayer Day is a good thing on Facebook.
Oh my god.
Otherwise, you get suspended for 30 days.
This movie actually, I think, didn't it come out in December of 2006? I think it did. I think it came out on Christmas Day. I remember this, sort of. I remember the posters. I remember the trailer coming out, and all this hype was for the movie. I didn't know that there was an original. I just thought that this was the first time we were ever seeing a movie called Black Christmas.
I remember it was a remake. I never saw the remake. I mean, I never saw the original at the time, but I just thought, why would they remake this movie? It's nothing so substantial that it warranted a remake. And I didn't really know much about the original Black Christmas, except for I think it was it Bravo or one of those channels had like 100 scariest movies of all time, and that's where I actually discovered a lot more horror movies than what I knew. And I think that's how I knew about Black Christmas, and I was like, oh, that does sound actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw in 2006 that they remade it, I was just like, no.
This is a trend that's going to continue for decades, literally decades.
And it was, and then I just watched it for this show, and I was like, oh my god. This was even worse than what I thought.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the only reason I found about the original was one of the horror documentaries I was watching. They talked about the whole girl being in this, like, almost every outside shot with the bag over her head. And I'm like, wait, it was like the whole movie? It's like, all right, so I had to watch it to find out.
The whole movie's just a chick sitting on a chair with a bag over her head and she's dead.
I was like, they're like, this is the scariest part about this. I'm like, I can agree.
For 90 minutes.
Yeah. But I watched the remake yesterday or the day before, one of the two, and I'm like, it's been a while, and like I said before, I remember it being brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal.
I don't know. I thought it was corny and camp.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it was just not taken seriously. I mean, I love Andrea Martin. I think she's a fantastic comedian and actress, but it kind of set a tone for me with that alone, where I just said, I just don't see this being serious, and how the acting and the cinematography construction was just like over the top and not serious. And I'm thinking, so is this a horror movie or is this supposed to be a comedy?
I feel like this came around the same time as See No Evil with Kane from WWE.
Yeah.
So it actually
Glenn
had
Jacobs.
the same, it still had the same vibe. So the whole like eyeball gouging, I'm like, really? This is you guys are stealing from each other now.
And I didn't
It's
understand
nasty.
the eyeball thing. I'm
No.
like, where did that come from?
No.
I guess because maybe in the original you had that one shot of just the killer's eye and then his whole face is in shadow. Maybe they just wanted to play with more of eye imagery. I really don't know. The eye lurking and watching everybody through the house with the peepholes and everything. And then there was that one alternate ending where Billy finds his way in the hospital and he's living in the vents. That's another thing about this movie. There are a ton of alternate endings and a bunch of different cuts of this movie. I saw the one, and that was a shitty ending.
Well, let's talk about the construction of this movie. It's basically it's built similar to what the original one is. It takes place in the one night, not a span of multiple nights.
The first one was multiple nights.
Yes. And you get this, the vibe of, like, who could be who. Like, there was that drunk girl who was kind of like the Margot Kidder character. There was no main final girl that was pregnant, but I think Katie Cassidy was, like, basically supposed to be her, and her boyfriend was cheating on her with one of the other frat girls. Sorority sisters, thank you. Because he winds up getting caught on the computer after she gets killed, and she never turned it off on her computer or something.
Like, I think I said this yesterday. I'm like, there's so many big names at the time in that movie. I didn't realize who the final girl was until she became the final girl.
That's one thing I will say. There is a pretty good cast in this movie. That's kind of one thing that was drawn to me. Like you said, Katie Cassidy, Michelle Trachtenberg, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Lacey Chabert. Andrea Martin, who was Barbara, Miss Mack, and there was another. Oh my God, who's the other? Well, it's going to come to me anyway. But I did. That's like the one of the very few positive things I liked about this movie was the cast. I thought the girls worked well with each other.
I mean, it felt like they knew what kind of movie they were in. That it wasn't anything super serious because it wasn't. I mean, even from the very beginning, you just knew that this isn't gonna be. I mean, it wasn't scary at all. It didn't make you feel for any of the characters whatsoever. No. It was just kind of like, come to work, get a paycheck, and hey, call it a day.
It was violent for the sake of violence sake, and there's a lot of things that can go hand in hand with that. This movie was directed by Glenn Morgan, and he also made Willard, so he made another remake before he made this one. I know he wanted to get away from the whole jump scare ploy, and then a lot of people say this movie had a lot of studio interference, and unsurprisingly, when you have a guy like Harvey Weinstein backing this movie, and he wanted to have...
I've heard that excuse over and over again.
The marketing being a disaster because there was a lot of shit in the trailer that did not make the cut of the movie.
This movie was just trash.
It's bad. No, it's not good. I'm just saying, I hate when studios get overly involved in shit like this.
Listen, hold on. Whenever a remake is involved anyway, it's always a studio thing. Because there was no reason to remake Black Christmas other than just for money. Just like The Fog. They just said, hey, we have the rights. Here you go. Make it. We don't give a fuck what it is because it's a remake. It already has a following and people are going to go see it.
Yeah.
I mean, they did add more to Billy's lore, but it was so fucking bad.
It was unnecessary, too. Like, they added in incest. They added in cannibalism. They added in all this other extra shit.
Yeah.
That was so unnecessary.
Liver disease that gave him bright yellow skin. It looked like the dude from
yellow,
from Sin City.
Yeah, the yellow bastard.
Oh my God, you beat me to it.
And it was bad. He looked horrible. The dude playing Billy looked like a young kid. And then he has this incestual daughter with the mom, and the mom shunned him and killed his real dad. And then there was a stepdad who, like, I guess they both kind of abused him, but left him locked up in the attic more. And
the way it's told is so bad in terms of like it jumbling from one time frame to another time jump. It's hard to follow, and you don't want to follow it.
And the eye gouging thing came from Billy getting out of the attic and taking his daughter's sister and popping her eye out while he popped out a doll that she got. And it was like, so what's so significant about that?
I think he ate the eyes too.
That's gross. I don't.
Like, I don't know. Like, so what resorted him to like doing that, and then letting the daughter sister live? That didn't make any sense to me. And by the way, when you see the daughter being like fully grown up, and it's both the daughter, sister, and Billy, and the daughter looks like a dude.
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure it was too.
Like Billy was a
Inbreeding.
Billy was a kind of a smaller man, and his daughter was more broad and taller than him.
You think she was a WWE wrestler?
And more facial muscle features.
So like the whole time they're showing her, I thought it was Billy until I realized that that's not Billy.
He doesn't show up and kill people until a little later in the movie.
Yeah, you get to see the yellow eye through like random spots. Like,
I know.
I just drew a blank because I'm still like, what the fuck is this movie? Like,
yeah.
When he tries to kill his sister daughter, he does. Sister daughter. I think he pops the eye out with a fork, but he still wraps her head in a bag and hits her to death. And that's what makes you think that she died, so that, spoiler alert, she's still alive at the end killing fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
The current, like, let's say present time was a better storyline than jumping back to tell Billy's story. They could have cut that out. It could have saved, like, 45 minutes of a movie.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of, like, that unnecessary backstory with Rob Zombie's Michael Myers treatment in his movie. Like, we don't need to see this. I don't need to see this in Black Christmas.
Oh, then don't forget when he killed the mom, he used those cookie cutters.
Yeah, to make like skin cookies and then bake them in the oven.
And why? Although I think I did hear that apparently that was originally supposed to be in Black Christmas 1974.
They were going to have that? Okay.
Why though? There's no point.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't put that in there because that would have been much.
And just because somebody says, well, if they were going to do it in the original, that doesn't mean it was going to be a good idea. Hence why it wasn't fucking in there. So I didn't understand why they had to do it. Because it was gross, it was disgusting, it made no fucking sense, just like the eye thing, just like the yellow skin bullshit. It was just bad.
Not good.
Dude, I thought this movie ended like 4 times, and I'm like, oh no, it's still
going.
going.
I thought it did too, yeah.
Because I thought it ended like right when like the original movie ended. No, there's like another 20 minutes of more bullshit. So I was like, oh cool, we got 2 final. No, there's still 20 minutes. Hold on. I'm like,
and at one point, the Katie Cassidy, the final girl, she's actually in the hospital, and that is where the movie does end, in a hospital.
fucking finally.
Yeah.
And is it both Billy and the sister daughter that go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Well, they're brought in body bags because the final fight between Katie Cassidy and them is actually through a wall. So they're in the attic. She falls.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I zoned out after.
Yeah. Only reason I'm like, oh cool, we're gonna get a nice cool kill, and we didn't get anything. So she's fighting with the sister, and then Billy shows up, and he's trying to strangle her. It was a fucking clusterfuck. And then one of the sorority sisters' sister shows up. I think I'm telling this right.
Yeah, no,
you're right. You're telling it right. Forget
There's
he's rolling.
There's too many sisters in this already. So anyway.
It's not even about nuns.
Yeah. So she's fighting both Billy and... Is her name Agatha?
I think so.
They might have took that from the original.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's fighting both of them in the wall while the other
Agnes.
chick... Oh, there you go. Same difference.
Yeah,
Started with
exactly.
an A. Useless. So she's trying to save Katie Cassidy out of the wall. All of a sudden, with everything going on in the attic with the bodies, they tried to overdo it with body parts on a Christmas tree, lighting candles, going, "You're all my family now." They started fucking fire in the house. And I was like, cool, everyone's gonna fucking die. This movie doesn't mean shit. We're fucking done. Well, the Christmas tree catches fire, it falls in the wall. Katie Cassidy gets pulled out by the sorority sister. And I can't remember her name.
It's fine. It's fine.
Matter.
So they get out. They're going to the hospital. House is on fire. I'm like, cool. Movie should end. Cool. We don't give a fuck. All of a sudden, they're wheeling in with body bags. I'm like, oh, fucking Christ. We're not even fucking done yet?
The audience is already gone. We all of us have pretty much checked out at this point.
Well, then at one point you see Billy in the hospital, and he opens up one of those, I don't know, what you call them in the ceiling. Like what you got.
Drop ceiling.
Yeah. And then apparently he's crawling through that shit, and I'm like, you don't do that.
Dude, the drop ceiling can't support you. Unless he's doing a John McClane and fucking going through the ductwork. Even that wouldn't support his ass.
And he knew exactly where to go.
Who the fuck is
Movie logic. Movie magic.
But you forgot, he kills the dude working in the morgue. All he wants to do is drink his alcoholic eggnog and go see his ungrateful wife and kids.
Oh, yeah, it's at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Dressed as Santa Claus, right? Oh, no, it wasn't that some other dude? I don't remember.
Some other guy.
It was
Dude, that movie is so
I
bad.
know.
Like I said, it has some brutality to it, but yet there's no point to the movie.
It's bloody for bloody's sake.
Yeah, like the one chick gets her head hit with the back of her head hit with ice skates because I don't even know if it was Aggie or
That was Michelle Trachtenberg who got
Yeah.
hit with the ice skate.
I can't remember. I don't know what killer it was at the time. I fucking
Well,
checked
that was
out.
one version of it. The other one had her like eye getting ripped out of a socket with a bag over her head, and that's how she was basically killed off. There's so many different variations of this movie, and I don't really care because
They don't do
they're not
anything
good.
better.
None of them are
Yeah.
good. I mean,
And they don't show. Was it Mary?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't show her die.
They just blood all over the windshield of the car.
She's
I
just
know.
sitting in a car while Andrea Martin's scraping the ice off, and
Yeah.
That poor woman just dies through a fucking icicle through the head because she's like, oh no, trying to get inside. Bam, right. I'm like, oh, you weren't even murdered. You
Okay.
just stupidity.
yeah, it was just
And the only
you're
girl
a
that
murderous
fought,
incident.
the other girl that fought back was the one from Mean Girls because that's all I could think of from.
Lacey Chabert.
Yeah. She's fighting this motherfucker and hits him with a garden tool. I can't even think what the hell the thing is called. And he pulls it out and he jams her in the back of her head. I'm like, fuck, man, there's no final girl. Fuck this movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's
You
so
can't
many,
give
like,
us this one thing. Nope, you have to take that away from us too.
I was like I said to them, like, it was too many big names at the time to be one final girl. I'm like, who the fuck is surviving this?
The one girl from Nickelodeon's Harriet the Spy.
Michelle Trachtenberg. Yeah.
Oh, is that who that was?
That's
Yeah,
she
I
got the
didn't know.
ice skate. No, she didn't survive.
No, I know she didn't survive. I just meant the big name. She was in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, the one time, I'm like, all right, we didn't get any nudity in the original. So I'm like, it's a 70s movie. We should have got something. And the one time I thought we were getting it, we didn't. We didn't get anything. We saw creepy fucking boy in the fucking bottom of that floor.
No, you saw incest on the staircase. That's what you saw. That's what everybody saw. Oh, God.
I tried blocking that out. That was that bad. That was fucking weird shit, man.
And then
No,
the cheating
no,
boyfriend, like that storyline, like from the original, where it could possibly be him, that fucking went nowhere. And they didn't.
He probably died stupidly, too.
I don't even remember. I think he was giving one of them a fight up in the attic, and he died.
Oh,
But they
that's
did
right.
try to redo
Yeah.
the bag thing, and they just
They overused the bag.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
he
effective.
escaped from the bag, and then somehow he died. I forget.
I think he had a knife and got stabbed in the
It was
head
effective
and-
just the one time in the original, and that was enough. You didn't have to see multiple bag deaths. Because then it becomes a comedy routine.
I don't know, bag. Blunt object bag. Stabbing bag.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Hey, he used the unicorn head, bag, stabbed it through the back of the head with the unicorn. So there we go.
Yeah, that's
Unicorn
right.
comes
I'm
back,
trying to remember. Yeah, dude, the unicorn showed up several times in that movie.
It did.
It was actually fucking massive. It was like a 12-foot long fucking unicorn statue. Little head with
Well,
a...
when we already remaking a movie that didn't need to be remade, you gotta make everything bigger. Even the unicorn stabbing device.
Dude, it was probably like an inch thick all the way through, and then probably about 12 inches tall. Like who the fuck is going, yo, I like...
Who
I know-
buys that? Who keeps that
Well,
around?
that was the exchange student, the weirdo girl that ends up giving it to... she plays that rich Texas girl, Mary. John McClane's daughter.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, yeah.
And I'm like, yo, so she goes, I heard you like, I saw that you like unicorns. I'm your Secret Santa. Hands her this fucking weird ass wrapped present in newspaper. So I'm like, automatically I start assuming she's probably the killer because she's already using this shit.
Well, then they have that flashback about the family and the incest daughter, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So automatically I'm like, all right, maybe she is the killer. I don't even give a fuck anymore. Let's continue not watching.
And they said she just leaves, and they're like, oh, where did Eva, or whatever the hell her name is, go? Oh, I don't know. And then they just go outside, and they open her car doors. They're like, oh, she didn't leave, and then her head just pops out. Like, all right, so then when the fuck did she die?
Oh yeah, by the way, she was missing her eyes too on top of it. Everyone was missing their eyes after the end of this.
Oh, fuck me.
Eyes.
Yeah. The only death I felt was unnecessary was the sorority sister's sister in the hospital. She gets her neck stabbed right after Kitty Cassidy has to go get an x-ray for God knows fucking what.
You think, oh my god, we're going to have somebody survive this ordeal? No.
That's what I said, multiple final girls. No.
Oh my god.
And then the way, I don't even remember the way the incest daughter sister dies.
The paddles.
Oh, was that real?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember them, but I was just so zoned out at that point.
Dude, she gets fried. Like, I was surprised the eyeballs didn't pop because, that's what seemed to be a fucking thing for this movie.
You forgot she was dangling the set of eyeballs as like Christmas ornaments. Like, well, come on,
She was hanging them on the tree. She had the one girl's head as the star. Everyone else, no fucking eyes.
It's like they saw the 2003 Texas Chainsaw remake and decided to ample up on that one. Oh God.
And then Billy, he just falls from like the top level of the
He
hospital.
gets fucking impaled on the Christmas tree. I forgot.
Yeah, he does. And then the fade to black, and then that's the movie.
Yeah.
No. They actually show that a lot. So it's like sitting there, you're seeing blood just spray out. I'm fucking dying because like nobody's looking up at her. They're looking. You see cops and security just running down. Like, no shit. Why don't you ask the girl that threw his ass over the fucking balcony?
Well, it's just like how when she's running away from him in the hallway, she even pushes that one big nurse, and it's like that guy doesn't see the yellow dude, and is like,
this yellow
hey,
bastard's running down the hallway.
and is like, hey, where are you going? Like, what's going on here? You know, she's running away scared. She looks like a patient. Oh, you look fucked up. Like, nothing.
See ya.
Yeah, bye.
Like, I'm not becoming part of this body count. He wants you. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
And there were like other people in that hall too. Like, you think somebody would be like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Lame.
Yeah.
I can't even say like anything really nice about this movie. Like, at least said something nice about the first one.
I had to dig through the rubble to try and find some good things about this 2006 movie. Like I said, the casting, and I enjoy the colorful lighting of the Christmas vibe. And there was maybe like one or two good shots of the camera set up this particular way. You're thinking, oh, are we seeing Billy's point of view with this camera shot? And that's me struggling to try and find something acceptable about this 2006 movie. Overall, I really just did not like it.
I don't think anybody should. Like, it took me forever just to find a copy of this one. Like, we were talking about earlier, I own the original. It took me forever just to find a version of this so I could watch it, because I don't want to pay for it.
I love the terrible final shot in the trailer where I think it was Michelle Trachtenberg going down the hallway and the ceiling is black, and then you see like a lightning flash and you see Billy like doing some Spider-Man shit like on the ceiling. Like, what is he doing? That was just there for a jump scare ploy in the trailer, and that's it. And that's not even in the fucking movie. A ton of shit was put in this trailer and was not in the fucking... That's why people hated it.
I think everyone just hates that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It should have stayed buried. I feel like we just uncovered a fucking trash heap and should have just left it where it was at.
The director hates it. Everyone hates it. Audiences hate it. I mean, I did catch the two references to Bob Clark. I think there was the sanitarium was named the Clark Sanitarium, and then there was the leg lamp in the sorority.
Oh, is that
in the background?
I didn't see that.
There is the leg lamp. I'm like, there it is. Cool.
I still want to fight this director because he helped write this piece of shit too.
Go ahead, fight him.
Glenn Miller.
Glenn Morgan.
Same difference. I'm gonna fight him. You tell him to find me, and then we can discuss this like uncivilized adults.
Well, he's not directing anymore. I'm sure he's doing other projects. But not as a director. So maybe you can find him. HorrorCon. Maybe you can find him at a HorrorCon, Jeff, and get your wish.
I'm gonna get my name up on the banner there.
Hey, Sima Sanitarium Productions, we got our own booth this HorrorCon. Can we sit next to Glenn Morgan?
Just bring him on the show, so at least give him the dignity to leave whenever he wants. And then we'll just keep him there and be like, oh no, you're stuck here.
You're stuck with us for at least 2 hours, because that's how long that movie felt.
Who knows? Maybe he'll welcome this movie's a piece of shit. I hated doing it.
I mean, interviews, he said that he hated it. So, yeah, I'm sure he doesn't have anything nice to say about the movie now. He didn't then, he doesn't now, I'm sure. So this probably leads to, because this movie definitely had to be remade again.
Oh, yeah, definitely had to be remade again.
This one, just called Black Christmas, and this pretty much, this right here is my summation of this movie. Yep, that's my reaction to that movie.
What the fuck was that?
That is an epic laugh of a guy unable to breathe, but laughing at something hysterically bad. To quote one of our friends in college, after you had texted me, Colin, saying, "So, John, what'd you think of the 2019 Black Christmas movie? ... I hated it."
This movie was bad, too.
I really did. And I At first, I was kind of thinking this is gonna be a deadlock between 2006 and 2019. I hated 2019's more.
Really?
I hated it more. I'm serious.
I thought the acting was a little better.
I guess. I mean, ugh.
All right, so the premise of 2019's Black Christmas is there is this one sorority sister who she's kind of suffering from PTSD, I would say, because she had a rape attempt on her.
From one of the fraternities,
boys.
yes, the frat boy who now graduated and now he's coming back for the break season to see the other fraternity members, and there's another reason why he's there.
She's like so traumatized by the whole thing, she just kind of keeps to herself. She's not like antisocial, but she just doesn't want to be out in a public kind of atmosphere. And at one point, I guess it's her like sorority sister, like, she's the big sister, and then there's a little sister that she has to watch out for. And I guess she got drunk or sick or something. They couldn't put on this Christmas show, and so the big sister, to like overcome her fears, was like kind of pushed from the other sisters to help put on the show. And they said that the guy who was going to rape her was going to be in the crowd, and they changed these lyrics to a Christmas song and basically said that she was almost raped while he was in the crowd, which I can agree with because that's a really shitty thing to do.
No, it is. No, the guy's a total scumbag, and his other fraternity members are scumbags too because they see nothing wrong with what they did and they just laugh at it.
Yeah, and that's just bullshit about it.
But that just kind of leads me to like the biggest issue I have with this movie. If I had to sum this movie up in one word, it's hate. This movie is fueled by hate and anger. The women hate the men hate the women. There are very few likable characters in this movie other than Imogen Poots, who I do like as an actress quite a bit. She's no stranger to the horror genre. She was great in the Fright Night remake. I like her quite a bit. And there was really the only bit of character was actually given to her. Everybody else, they're nothing.
Yeah,
they're just kind of leeching off of her, basically.
Let's say if you think about it, they're all cannon fodder for being murdered. Like, she is the final girl. She's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And she does go through a progression of being a badass, Imogen Poots. And like I said, she's the one that you feel the most for. Also,
if there's anything, like as far as a big name goes, it's Cary Elwes from
Princess
Saw.
Bride.
And apparently he did something where there's a petition going on where they're trying to get him fired, and he's this foreign teacher, right?
Preaching basically about like masculinity, basically, in this one classroom structure, and it's all about men believe this way and men are superior, and the person who said this quote was a female talking about how great men were, and that's why there's this petition going around because they don't feel comfortable learning about what he's teaching. And right from the bat, I'm like, this guy's going to play a big part in the villain plan. This is not surprising to me already. Watch he be the main bad guy, and lo and behold, spoiler, he is.
Yeah.
This movie has nothing to do as far as like an original remake has to go. I mean, it has nothing to do with Billy. I mean, there's like a little tribute to the phone call, like the distorted, but
that's very, very brief.
but it has nothing to do with like somebody was murdered and they call. It's really about this cult at a frat house.
Yeah, and you get that one shot of the unicorn in like the opening, and that's one thing of the very few things I could find this being relevant to the Black Christmas mythos. There was a cat, there was a statue of a unicorn in the very beginning, there's a sorority, and it's Christmas time. That's it.
And Christmas wasn't even a focus in this.
It was
just kind of like, oh yeah, well the holiday season's coming, and that's just what it is. You know, you're leaving to go home. And
this is not Black Christmas. This is Black Christmas in name only. Yeah. That's what this movie is. It reminded me of the 1998 Godzilla movie. It's Godzilla in name only. It's not really fucking Godzilla. And that's exactly what this fucking movie is. It's not Black Christmas. It's Black Christmas in name only. That's why people hated it. One of the reasons why, because they felt like this remake just shit all over the original.
It did completely. Shit all over it.
Thinking it was trying to do something different. There's nothing about Black Christmas in this movie at all. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to reserve myself for now. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Where?
It's not scary. That was one of the worst things about this movie, is that I was never scared once. It's littered with jump scares. You can predict every scare coming a mile away. And the off-screen kills. You talked about the off-screen kills, about how they were so brief in the original. I implore you to watch this one again, because you see some girl get strangled for a second. You see somebody get stabbed with an icicle. It felt like this movie was trying to be R-rated and like, no, we got to water this shit down and make it PG-13 to appeal to a greater mass audience.
Well, if you notice, it looked like there were some cuts where, like, I think one girl was gonna say "suck my dick" or something, and it was like "suck my," and it cut. I was like, what?
They probably is it rated PG-13?
It's PG-13, so absolutely.
Yeah, they had to cut down the language so they could add in a little more violence, but they cut down the violence because it's PG-13.
What violence?
Exactly.
You can't even tell what you're looking at sometimes because the editing is so bad.
Put it this way: in a PG-13 movie, you can only say "fuck" once. You have to take something out of it to use it, though. So if they can't say "suck my dick," they're probably saving up for something stupid down the road. Which this whole movie was stupid down the road.
Yeah.
Like I admit, I was kind of hopeful for it. I'm like, cool, maybe an updated version. No. No. Like it literally, like you said, in name only. I think the coolest thing about it was the fact that the main character was more of a badass. She actually put it to the zombies. I think that's what they were. Don't fucking
they were fucking zombies possessed by some black liquid coming out of the founder's bust.
Yeah, when apparently the founder is still alive, until the bust breaks.
Yeah, fuck this.
It was so bad. Like, cult movies and cult ideas are just so hit or miss.
Is that what they were trying to implore? The final guy, the big guy with the mask on, that was the cult leader?
Like, there was another petition that they said they wanted to get that bust removed, and then it was, and that one girl who was, like, so big in the feminist movement, she took really, like, big pride in that bust got removed. Mm-hmm. And so the guys just put it in that frat house, started that cult, and used that, like, black blood to do the possession thing, and then the head guy that the bust was modeled after, he came out in a mask and stuff. You never really see his face, and they break the bust, and that's when he dies, and everybody else is all like, oh, blah, and I don't even know how like all the bad guys really die. I didn't care.
I think they died in a fire.
They died in a fire.
Oh,
because they light the frat house on fire to get away.
Oh, I want to get back to that fire. I want to get back to that, but this is another thing. This does not happen. The movie was announced in June of 2019. They announced that they were going to do a Black Christmas movie. You announced it, and in that 6-month time span, you announce it, you cast it, you direct it, you film it, you go through post-production, editing, and then you release the trailer, and then you release the movie in 6 months. That does not happen.
Doesn't it? Editing usually take about a year?
Yes. That, like I'm saying, that does not fucking happen. The movie felt completely rushed, which is why the editing is shit, why it's not scary, and why it rips off of some of other scary sequences from other movies. There's a moment that was straight ripped off of Exorcist 3. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's the one chick who was getting ready to leave, and she's looking for a cat. The camera pans over to her, and then it zooms in real closely all of a sudden when the killer shows up and strangles her. Huh. That might as well be the hospital scene when the killer, the nurse, is walking away, the door opens, and then you see the guy with the hedge clippers ready to cut her head off, and it zooms in really quickly. That is a straight, direct ripoff of Exorcist 3. There was no imagination. This was a half-assed, lazy attempt at making a movie. It's that bad.
I feel like we weren't the target audience, like especially men. It definitely wasn't the target audience for this movie. It had like a big feminist political agenda to it, and let's face it, this was really politically driven more than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was publicly announced and it was stated in interviews. Sofia Takal, the director of this movie, said that yes, this is a feminist approach to this movie.
And listen, I don't care about that, especially if it's well done. Hey, good, send a message. Like at the very beginning when they were talking about that dude who was gonna rape the girl, I was like, yeah, fuck, dude, call him out. Because, I mean, to me, that's not a real man at all. If you got to rape a girl, I mean, that's a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And then, because, like, now she's suffering from PTSD. Hell, he should be in fucking jail more than anything.
That was a dickbag move, and the fact that his brothers are laughing about it.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing fucking funny about that at all. But then, there was even that one character who was, like, the boyfriend when the one chick who was, like, big in the feminist movement was all about like, all men suck, all men have the power, and he just has this breakdown where he says, oh, would you stop? Not all men are bad. And I kind of felt like that too. And it made me want to say, like, the director and the writer are both females, and I felt like they pretty much, to me, it felt like somebody who's been scorned so many times from dating a guy that they only date because of social stature or because they're good looking, but they're always assholes all the time, and they say they can never find a good guy, so I'm going to write this movie and we're going to make it and say all men suck, and this is just what we're doing because we're going to stick it to them. That's what the movie felt like to me. And it's like, well, maybe, you shouldn't look at people in that sort of way, and actually, because there are nice guys out there, just like how there are nice girls out there.
Absolutely. I mean, there are, like, two, I guess, nice people. There's the one guy that has the crush on Riley, who is Imogen Poots, innocent guy who just wants to, treat her right and wants to be nice to her because he has a crush on her. And then there's that one boyfriend that you were just talking about. I'm going to get back to that because there is some seriously inconsistent script writing in this. He's filming the video of the diss that's going on at the fraternity. He's filming it. He's all on board with it. That's great. But then as the movie progresses, he has that breakdown moment in the kitchen. He says, I told you this was going to happen. No, you didn't.
Yeah, no.
You were on board with this from the very beginning. You didn't predict anything. And then when they're having this rant back and forth, it felt like I was watching a bunch of 12-year-olds get involved in a Facebook feud. Seriously.
You're right about that.
The way it was written, and then the one girl says, I in fact had to put subtitles on this because I didn't know what the hell she was saying. She said, did you just not all men me? Did you just not all men me? Did you seriously just fucking say that? I'm shaking my head as this is going on. Like, you actually put that in a script. I'm like, guys, shut up. Stop yelling. You guys are 12-year-olds right now. And then the girlfriend was just ready to just shove him out of the fucking sorority. They just got into a huge fight all of a sudden. What is going on here? What are you doing right now? This is adding to my hate. This movie's message is hate. It's anger. That's all it is.
Yeah, there was never no, like, balance or like, conclusion to say, like, oh, hey, I was wrong, or, because, I mean, that's supposed to be more of a political message, is that there's supposed to be this balance and a conclusion, and no, it was just, all men are scum, and you suck.
Yeah. I mean, he did come back and wanted to apologize, and wanted to set things right. He just got fucking killed in a terribly edited shot. I couldn't even tell how he died. Was it with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, and he wanted to save his girlfriend because he heard she was wounded, and he was like, well, fuck this. I mean, it was like one of the more stand-up moments where he said, I don't care if I have a migraine or not, I'm going to go get this guy, and then, boom, he just gets...
The sudden migraines made no sense to me, how these characters got into migraines.
That was, that's something to do with that black blood, and how, like, all the men from, like, they wanted to control all the men with that black magic or whatever. I was like, oh my god,
one of the many stupid things in this movie. Oh, and I could barely tell how some of these people died. Like, I couldn't even see, like, where he got shot with the arrow because the editing was so jumbled and messy. And even the girlfriend, she ended up getting stabbed, I guess, or shot or something. And then she just left in the middle of the floor. And I guess she just died too.
There was nothing memorable with it.
No. I mean, I think that was kind of a cool way to kill somebody, where she took the keys and made a fist out of it and put it in the guy's neck. And then she's struggling to pull the keys out of his neck. I'm like, it's not like you jammed a freaking 12-inch knife in the guy's neck where it's impossible to pull out. They're like 1-inch keys.
But
just pluck it out.
They're keys and they're stuck in. It's serrated, so you can't just pull it right out like it's smooth.
I know, but they're so tiny though. Like, just pluck it out. And yet they're like making like it's this big struggle to get it out. And then they have that conversation in the car where they're basically just summarizing the whole fucking plot in case we were too stupid to figure out what's going on. It was just a word vomit scene. It was just word vomiting the entire plot out. Like, I just saw all that. You don't have to explain this to me. I'm not an idiot. The audience is not an idiot.
Well, apparently, if men are watching it, we're all idiots. So yeah, they have to be explained again.
Good God,
that's what the movie was saying. For the joke's on them, this movie sucks.
It fucking sucked.
I was gonna ask if you got a migraine right now, because you're like grabbing your head pretty hard.
Me too. put my fist over my mouth right now and just like I have like these twitches that are developing right now. Just like because I know we're not done yet.
Yeah.
You said about yes, I know it is a feminist movie, but don't you kind of want to not just make this for women, but for men to be like, I completely understand what's going on. Don't you want to have a well-rounded...
Yeah, and like I said at the very beginning, I totally understood and I was all on board for it because I know some people who went through situations that have gone through the roofie almost rape thing, and I know it's affected them in a rough way and nobody listens to them. I mean, there were situations where I've cried out for help and everybody's just like, eh. So I get that. You know, I mean, I haven't had an extreme situation like that happen to me, but I get the cry for help and nobody listens to you. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, you know, totally screws up somebody because it's a violation of their body and their privacy. Also, it's a form of harm. And it's just a terrible all-around thing. And I was like, yeah, good, you know, but at the end of the day, she should have called the cops on the dude and had him arrested no matter what, because that's a crime. Yeah. And it's totally disgusting. No real guy would ever have to like rape a woman or abuse a woman for sex. Because that's just fucking pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Piece of shit.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit if you got to do something like that. Yeah. I mean, if you even think that, or if you get off on like thinking that it's a form of control, you're a piece of shit scumbag. Mm-hmm. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And, because if you got your bros with and they have your back with it, well, then they're pieces of shit too. You know, and I agree. That point, yeah, call them out and say those people are scumbags. Mm-hmm. But then there was the two guys, like the Imogen Poots crush. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't really have like a mean bone in his body.
No, he didn't.
And then there was the other guy that we said that, you know, called him out on it, and then he actually came back to be more of a hero figure, and then he like died.
He just died all of a sudden in a terribly edited shot. That's what killed him, not the arrow. The edited shot killed him. The cinematography killed him. And then there's the security guard, the campus security guard, when Imogen Poots is trying to tell the situation, and like
he's not taking it seriously.
No, he's not. Really, you think all university security campus cops are like this? Can he just be on top of shit, and can he take things seriously? No, because this is Black Christmas 2019. He can't take anything seriously. And then when there is a 911 call, and then when other sororities are getting attacked, what the hell is going on? Now all of a sudden it's a giant ploy to kill all the women in the campus.
You know, that was another thing I was confused about. It starts off in a different sorority, then has the kill and goes to the one that's focused on the movie, and I'm like, and then you don't hear about that other sorority until the very end of the movie.
Where are the cops? Why is nobody looking into this? A girl's been missing for 24 hours. You take it seriously, especially when a girl's mother is calling. My daughter hasn't showed up. Where is she? It's been 24 hours and you're not taking this seriously. Where are the cops? Where's the investigation going on? There's none of that in this movie. None of it. And then the guy shows up. Oh, you're killing somebody. Stabbed. I'm dead. In a terrible PG-13 edit. Yeah. This is really got to me. I mean, just not from the movie's message. I mean, you can't miss the damn message in this movie. If you did, then you're an idiot. Jeff raising his hand. It just feels like this is not a horror movie or a movie with a message. It's a message with a movie. That's just what it seems like to me. I mean, yeah, you do see the crush losing his shit when his mixing equipment gets destroyed and trashed at the fraternity, and then the guys show up in a swarm, and then he gets that migraine. The migraine thing was dumb. I don't get that. That was so unnecessary. You did not have to put that in this movie.
90% of this movie was dumb.
Mm-hmm. And then the one girl that was like about to get sexually assaulted in the beginning, she was playing chicken basically. It was, I'm in with the men the whole time. And she just played Imogen Poots, and then she gets knocked out. Then Carrie Elwes shows up at the very end and gives this James Bond villain speech and just basically vomits out the entire plot.
Again. Essentially, he is a Bond villain. He's
He's a
British,
Bond villain in this moment. But it's not entertaining like it was in Halloween 3 or
I
really
expect
awesome.
you to die.
Yes, she is right. You're all insane. No. Simply men. What?
And it's just stupid because I don't understand. It's basic biology that there's men and women. So, and any right person knows that you need one and the other for a counterbalance. And, I mean, never mind, procreation purposes. So, like, when this message of, like, oh, like, all are superior than the other, it's like, that's not how this works in natural law. And I don't know where exactly this all got jumbled, unless it's the news that's just brainwashing people into this stuff. But anybody with a right mind fucking realizes it.
I think it was more or less the concept that women didn't have rights for a long time, and it kind of became a society thing where they were underneath men, figuratively and literally. Now that they have their rights to do all this stuff, they are equal to us. They've always been equal to us. It's just society itself has always viewed it poorly.
By legal laws, you're saying that.
Yeah.
That I can understand.
That's where the whole concept has come from, but it's just been handled poorly for years. It still is handled poorly.
No, yeah. I know people who've had, like, master's degrees that are in the medical field, and they say they still don't get the same sort of amount of money that they probably should get
equal
paid.
Pay. Equal pay is still a problem.
And I understand that, and that's totally logical to argue with that. But it's also logical to say that if, like, your work performance, like, say if you have a master's degree and there's somebody who doesn't, and even if they're both of the same sex, but the person that outperforms you with the master's degree gets paid more, you have to give it to that person because it doesn't work. Because otherwise, like, I could go get a master's degree and shit about fuck, and get paid and just say, like, I should get paid more and just sit on my ass. Then you're just being Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, the law of education, should be looked at and be like, consider what you're dealing with here when there's performance versus education. Because sometimes the performance comes through the education that you get from working your way up. But then, yes, there are people who do get ignored and they just get pushed to the side. But I also know people who've noticed that and they say, well, fuck you. If you don't notice it, then I'll leave. And most of the time they find another job and they get a better position anyway.
Absolutely.
I think it's just some people that also just get stuck in that, like, I'm going to keep working at it and just wait until it's handed to me. And it's like, nothing's really handed to you unless you're part of somebody's family or a clique or something. Or their favorite, kiss ass. Stuff like that. Because that does happen. I mean, we see it in school, but yet it's also, outside in the work world too.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's right. I'm just saying that I've noticed it, and I know people have gone through it.
Yeah.
But I know people that refuse to just say, like, I'm going to wait until I get it. They'll just tell them, fuck you, I'm going to go somewhere else then. And most of the time, they become more successful.
This movie was not successful. Yes, I did like just that brief moment where the surviving members of the sorority show up, but then all of a sudden it turns into the Justice League all of a sudden, where all these women just engage in this giant fight, but it's so poorly filmed with just a lot of slow motion, like they're trying to make a comic book movie all of a sudden at the very end. Bad editing, they're using bow and arrows as they're using the bow as a stabbing blunt weapon. They're using whatever
I think they ran out of arrows. It's the same concept of having Hawkeye fight aliens in New York City. You're gonna have 12 arrows. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
The room was full. There was 40 guys in there, give or take. But there was a decent amount. And there was 8 women.
8 women about.
So the arrows ran out quick. So she had to stab them with the bow because it has a pointy end.
Oh my god!
Just saying logic here, Johnny.
The way it was handled, though, there was so much unnecessary slow motion. You could tell this director didn't really have much experience about filming an action scene, and that's exactly what this was going on—an action scene.
Wasn't there a slow motion finale in Ghostbusters 2016?
I don't
And it was
remember. It's been a
dumb.
while since I've
Dumb.
seen that movie.
Dumb.
And, Imogen Poochie gets away from one of her captors, and she manages to break out, and just all it takes is destroying the damn bus that's bleeding out of its eyes, this black goo. And then, now, this is where we get into the fraternity burning down. So, it's already been made clear that quite a bit of these fraternity brothers are possessed by this black magic. Some of them are not, because some of them are dickbags.
They're pieces of shit.
But they use this goo to put on their forehead to possess them, to go after these women. When that bust gets destroyed, the magic is undone. So I'm pretty sure that some of these guys that are currently burning alive in this giant fraternity, maybe they didn't know what they were doing. So maybe a bunch of innocent men just burned alive in a fraternity, and the women and the one nice guy locked them in that room, and now they're watching the place burn to the ground. Some of them are dickbags, some of them are not, but they're smiling at the burning building. So what are you trying to communicate? Are you trying to say that fuck the establishment, fuck everybody, you're all gonna die? I don't care if you're good or not, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's not really a good message to end with,
Exactly.
if you ask me. That really isn't. So I'm pretty sure
Shouldn't
that
be a good message to anybody to end
no.
with.
Some of these kids just thought, okay, I'm just joining fraternity because I want to be part of a brother fraternity. I don't really know what you guys are doing in the shadows, but you really hate women, but I'm just going to join a fraternity because I want to be with part of my brothers, and these guys support me and love me, or at least I think they do. No, I'm just going to be possessed and try to kill a bunch of women, but now that the magic is undone, they're normal, or at least they're supposed to be normal from what we're looking at right now. Carrie Elwes is doing this scream, no, no, don't destroy it. Oh no, the magic is undone. I'm on fire. Suck my beat. And then, yeah, that happens again at the very end. That's the ending. And that's the ending. All is right with the world. They're dead, and we're better off.
So,
Black Christmas.
So, this is more of a zombie movie than it was a Black Christmas movie?
Zombie. I'm saying that in quotes. Zombie.
Honestly, because when they actually fought back, those possessed frat boys, they bled black too, which was weird.
It was weird.
It was really weird.
I did not
And
like that at
they
all.
didn't get acceptable to pain like you normally would. I think the one dude gets hit with an arrow and he's just like, keeps coming. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on here?
And in case it wasn't clear, some of the guys did not know what they were doing because one of the guys possessed was the guy who had the crush on Riley. He said it as they were locking him in the door, saying, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to fight it, but I was possessed. I was possessed. And so are those guys. So are some of them.
Oh no.
And
the
they're
lock's
dead.
still going onto the door.
Why are you talking in this moment right now, dude? Like, why are you trying to make amends with her? Like, is this trying to be a comedic moment right now? And she's screaming, not now! Yes, not now. What are you doing, man?
You just killed everybody that wasn't possessed that didn't know what they were doing.
Apparently that one cop was the only campus security because they were nowhere to be found. This campus is being controlled and under the protection of one guy. And when they took him out, it was free range for everybody.
Well, I'm just saying, in the era of cell phones, computers, Wi-Fi fucking everywhere, they had to eliminate something. Like, obviously they eliminated the logic of the movie. They obviously eliminated the fact that everyone has a fucking cell phone. They also eliminated the fact that there was no help coming. So they got one campus security guy. Cool. What about the rest? What about the cops? What about anybody? Like I said, everyone has a cell phone. Check your fucking pockets. You probably have your cell phone on you right now.
Oh no,
I've got one on my wrist. All right?
Yeah.
It's fucking everywhere.
Oh no, we lost our phones. They're downstairs because if we had our phone, then the movie would be over.
Exactly. They had to eliminate stuff in the now era of cell phones where everyone can get a hold of anybody. You can fucking do it. I think there's an Alexa right behind me, too.
I was just going to say, like, they probably could have said, like, Siri, call 911.
I'd make sure it didn't turn on.
Whoops.
Because we can't have these convenient plot devices at the right time. Otherwise, yeah, movie over.
Exactly. There was, in the era of horror movies, we are going to see the end of a lot of things because of the use of cell phones.
Yep.
Like, I think I said it before, this slasher genre, which this technically should have still been, is going to die no matter what. We always going to have that genre. We're always going to love it. But it's going to end because cell phones are fucking everywhere. Unless you're making a movie that's supposed to take place in the 80s or the 90s.
That's what some directors are doing right now. They're going back a couple decades so that they don't have the convenience of these cell phones, and so they can make movies without these convenient plot devices.
But now that'll make a really good horror movie, though, if you can find a logical way to eliminate the cell phones.
Well, like most people camping now, there are dead zones. I can understand that. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a dead zone somewhere, but is that always going to be a plot device? Have the killer a little bit smarter. Always think about it. Think ahead. Don't. I know we had the best movies in the 80s for the slasher genre. As I'm pointing behind me, I just saw you look at me like a crazy fucking person. But it's like, if we're going to keep moving forward, it is fucking 2021. And we have to look as a society at horror moving forward. Like I'm always going to scream about horror. I'm always going to, because that's the one thing I'm always going to enjoy watching.
Hey,
but it's got to evolve at some point. Like we're not going to get slashers much longer. I know that much. As much as that sucks, it's the one thing they're gonna probably do a lot more possessions, a lot more hauntings,
monsters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I got excited when they brought back fucking Creepshow as a show. So
that was fun.
Yeah. Now I'm getting choked up.
I know Creepshow does that too.
I know. Just like Creature in the Crate, man.
Hey, you could have a hacker that knows how to get into phones and computers and stuff now.
They actually have some horror movies like that.
Oh, they do, yes.
There's a couple about like the cam girl things I've watched. It was messed up.
There was a movie called Cam.
Yeah.
It actually was pretty good. I actually enjoyed that one. It was on Netflix.
Yeah. And there's a lot out there that they could use. It's like there's places that will not let you have devices go inside. I think it's called Death House, where it's pretty much the Expendables of horror. It's a prison. You don't have any cell phones. So they took everything away from them. Yeah. Obviously.
One of my favorite horror movies that came out a couple years ago called Haunt, produced by Eli Roth. They have to remove their cell phones when going into this extreme haunt, and then the guys running this horror attraction park, they destroy the phones instantly as soon as they get a hold of them. So the phones are gone, and they got to figure out a way how to get out of this haunted attraction, and it's well done in terms of its crafting, its scares, and how to twist and turn, and also give good character development. That was actually a big surprise for me, that movie.
Yeah. So it's like there was a lot of plot points that they missed. They obviously had a message they felt the need to send. Like we were saying before, like most of the male characters were pieces of shit that deserved what they got. There was a few that ended up dying because, well, they were male. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it was too much. And it kind of like wrecked the movie as a whole. Like if you would have done it as like I'm trying to think of one, Patty Jenkins in Wonder Woman, where it was all female based with one male kind of working it. Like they worked together. It was a good plot point. It was good development.
Mm-hmm. There was no judging on. Yeah. Oh hey, with Diana. Yeah. Oh, she's a woman. Oh, we're not doing that. It's like we're all in this together.
It didn't hammer the message down your throat because it was actually good, even. Dispersing between her and Chris Pine, because he wasn't a damsel in distress. He had something to contribute. And there was even that moment right before the No Man's Land battle sequence. You know, he said, no man can cross this line. She could have easily been like, I'm not a man, and crosses the line. No, she didn't do that. Patty Jenkins didn't do that. She had to say, I'm going to do what I believe is right. There you go.
Yeah. So there's a lot out there that they could have done with it. They could have actually done a really amazing movie with it. Even with putting its message in there, just don't make it the point driven through. Mm-hmm. So it wrecked the movie because you had more to say than what the movie had shown.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, we as three men watching a movie, it wasn't for us. It wasn't made for us. I get it. But it's like, as a society, I don't think it was accepted as well as it should have been. Mm-hmm. I get it. Like, I'm not saying it like it's shitty because of that. It's like it was really poorly executed.
It was poorly made in general.
Yeah, the filmmaking is atrocious in this movie. It really is. I don't have anything nice to say about the filmmaking because it was rushed. I could tell just by watching everything. It just wasn't handled right. And you can't make a movie like this in 6 months.
Yeah. It should have came out in 2020 in December if they wanted to actually fully think everything out.
Take some time off. Don't rush things like that.
Seriously. Rushing a movie is never a good idea anyway. I don't understand why it's always here's your deadline. Now make sure you get it out now. Especially if it's not like you're striking while the iron's hot.
There is no reason for a remake for Black Christmas.
I didn't understand why they had to call it a Black Christmas remake. I mean, you could have easily have just said this isn't like that. It's just some other movie.
Just retitle it something else.
They could have actually called it a remake for A House on Sorority Row. They could have. There's multiple sorority houses they could have used, and it probably would have fit better.
Yeah. No, the marketing was bad. The filmmaking was bad. Just a lot of things did not work for this movie. Like you said, like, yes, this isn't made for us because it's a feminist opinion. But I'm pretty sure that there are feminists out there that don't want to watch scary movies, that can't handle scary movies. But at the same time, you could easily handle this movie because it isn't scary.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't even consider it a horror movie at this point.
No.
It was more of a thriller. I wouldn't even say murder mystery because there was really no mystery to it. After a while, you figured out real fucking quick what was going on. So it's like I'm trying to think like logically how to. They didn't think out the whole plot fully. Like, yes, they had point A, they had point B, but they didn't have the strings to attach it to that. Even trying to add a little bit of mystery to get to B, and that they were like, here's our point. This is what needs to be. That's it.
yeah, when Carrie L was doing that classroom speech, I'm like, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
There was no surprise with that whatsoever.
Oh, even when he helped Imogen Poots try to get into the frat house.
Yeah.
And with the key and how he's all like, Mr. Sinister.
Boys will be boys and things. I'm like, you're
The
really.
fact that they fucking used that line too. I'm like, he's a piece of shit. Fuck, get out of here.
Come on. Like, there's nothing subtle about this right now at all.
Like, I think the best thing that came out of it was, I can't even say Imogen. Is that how you say her name?
I've heard Imogen or Imogen. I think it's Imogen Poots. I'm sorry if we mispronounced your name. You're a talented actress. Forgive us.
I was just going to say, she was probably the best thing that came out of this movie. The acting she did was great. She actually showed a lot of emotion, and it's like, it showed she was the star of this movie, and I'm glad they gave it to her because she outshone everything in it.
She was the only bright spot in this movie.
Plus, she was a badass.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. I mean, I love seeing female characters that rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Like, I think Heather Langenkamp never really got the proper credit she got for being Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street. To fans, she does, but she was an awesome character in that. Like, playing a kid teen that took on an evil entity yet. That was
no one believes her.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell in Scream.
Yeah, I would say Barbara Crampton and all the horror movies that she did is still doing. I had to correct myself. The fact that she doesn't get the credit that's deserved.
Linda Hamilton, Sigourney Weaver.
Well, Sigourney Weaver's starting to get it a little more now that she's getting older, but it's not to the extent that it should be.
I don't know. I think Linda Hamilton got it though, because when people hear Terminator, and I mean, they think of Sarah Connor more than Linda Hamilton, but still they go, "Yo, Sarah Connor, badass."
She's a badass character. That's if you have a badass female lead, it'll actually follow through. It shows through over the, as we just named, multiples over time.
But the thing I've also noticed is they were also people that were, like, say, Sigourney Weaver in Alien and Linda Hamilton in Terminator. They started out as, like, Sigourney Weaver was just doing her job, working with the mining, ship. And then it was kind of like, it's either kill or be killed. Sarah Connor, kill or be killed. You're Terminator, fucker. And then it's, I gotta protect my kid now. So she's got the mother instinct. Aliens 2. She has Newt with the Marines, and Hicks is even training her how to use the guns in like a 5-minute tutorial.
Right.
And she's like more badass than all the fucking Marines.
Yeah.
Dude, Vasquez is pretty.
Vasquez is really fucking cool too.
I say even Nev Campbell, her character development over the course of Scream showed that she was willing to put the fight in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you got to see that over the course of 3 more movies. I'm hoping to see.
Yeah,
the 5th one's good too. But
I feel you, bro.
But it was kind of cool seeing that final girl become the main character, become the badass, become actually the Scream Queen that they are now. And I wish that this movie would have done something more along that, like where it made the female lead more of a badass, which they did with her, but they kind of made the story around her kind of falter.
makes me not understand what the critics were talking about in the 80s, because they had these reviews where they think all horror movies hate women, but the women are the ones that survive at the end and they become stronger than the killer and they become badasses.
Yeah.
And they totally forget to acknowledge that in their reviews.
And that's why it's called The Final Girl. It's not. We don't really see the final guy.
The only one I can think of was Tom Matthews in Friday the 13th Part 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. I'm like,
There's a few other ones.
John Saxon.
The original Fright Night. I mean,
Yeah, that was like male characters though in general anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was indeed a triple threat match, that's for sure.
I will say that I think there were some ideas that you could have taken from 2019 and 2006 and made a sequel out of them, like a little bit more to Billy's backstory, maybe like the feminist movement and the Billy thing clash.
Yeah.
And then even if it was, say, like 30, 40 years later, that might have been interesting.
Listen, don't give them any ideas. They already do enough fucking.
Well, they fucked it up already.
Yeah,
30-year fucking
fine,
sequels,
yeah.
okay?
It should be dead now. But I'm just saying, like, if they could have taken those concepts and then they probably could have had something better after the original, but they didn't. So
I meant what I said about Blumhouse not being out of the muck. Yeah, you've got some good movies here and there, but you've got some disasters on your resume as well.
I was surprised that was a Blumhouse movie.
It's a
2019.
Blumhouse movie. Yeah.
Whew.
So was the Craft reboot remake.
Ooh.
I saw a lot of similarities, especially the ending between Black Christmas and the Craft. Some things just kind of jumped off the screen for me. I'm not going to get into that because that's probably a whole nother discussion,
Yeah.
but if you've seen both those movies, you might know what I'm talking about, especially the third act structure.
I have not, and I don't
You don't
want
need to. Favorite scenes?
No.
No.
Wait, like for all three?
How about the
favorite?
original? Yeah, like how about like just in general, like from all three of the movies? Do you have a favorite scene in the original?
Nothing that really sticks out to me. I mean, I enjoyed watching it, but there wasn't anything that I said, "Ooh, that scene was so awesome."
Okay.
Concept-wise, I like how they took the true story behind the When a Stranger Calls, and that was made before When a Stranger Calls was actually made, and they incorporated it in with this story. I thought that really worked. I liked the not knowing about the killer, and I wanted to know more about him and see where it was going to go. Like, what's making this guy tick, and like, did he escape somewhere, or was he hiding, this whole time?
Right.
And why is he coming back now?
Was he hiding in the house for all that time?
Exactly. There's
creepily?
something more that they could have told instead of a remake
Yeah.
that would have been interesting.
At the same time, I like that because we don't know. What we know is enough, and what we can piece together ourselves.
But part of telling a sequel is progressing the story.
Yeah.
Rather than just redoing the same
Reboot it,
thing.
remake it again. Yeah.
And again.
Some of the best sequels are always when they just keep moving things along.
Yeah. I know for me, the original, I really liked my favorite part was probably when Olivia realized she was in the house alone. She discovers Margot Kidder's body, and then you get this really, really creepy shot of just really the eye of Billy, and she sees that he's in the room, and then this chase ensues, and you have no idea how the third act is going to end, right before the ending of the third act where it gets messy. But just that chase, and then the boyfriend breaks into the house, like that whole build-up was really suspenseful for me, because that shot of the eye reminded me of like this really good close-up in Texas Chainsaw Massacre during the cannibalistic family dinner, where you just get this really creepy shot of just her eye looking around. So the original got it right with showing the creepiness of the imagery of the eyes. 2006 just plucks your fucking eye out of your skull. No, we're gonna violate your senses and just rip your fucking eye out of your skull. That's what the remake did not get right. Showing in the original, fuck your eyes, 2006. I mean, seriously. Jeff?
Listen. After spending a week watching all these movies, I've discovered I hate all three at certain points because, like you said, 1 had no ending. It had no build up. 2 was just a shit show to begin with. So I'm like, I can't fucking like choose one single fucking moment between those two. And the third one, I said there's nothing memorable about it. So as a whole, I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to find one scene out of 3 fucking movies? And I'm still sitting here listening to you guys talk. I'm like, those scenes suck too. Fuck. There's like no fucking like really big thing that's gonna pull me out and go, hey, I'm gonna rewatch this movie now. No. I can't even get fucking any nudity to even go, hey, I like that.
It's all because they didn't have nudity.
They all could have been PG-13 movies. I wouldn't even fucking known because, A, the only one that had killing were fucking useless kills. They fucking used everything out for plucking eyeballs, doing all this dumb fucking shit. And then you have so many big fucking names. You got fucking know who the fucking final girl is. So, and then you got this new one that really makes no fucking sense on what point I'm going to be watching. So it brings me back to going to the first one, and I'm like, well, I guess I roll the credits, and there we go. Phone's ringing, dude's on the front porch, and nothing's happening. Maybe the best shot scene in the entire fucking movie, but it still pisses me off because there's no fucking ending. We got the ending in, I want to call it 2 now.
2006?
We'll just call it 2. We got an ending in 2, but I thought the movie ended, and it continued going for another 20 minutes. And then we got a weird-ass ending in 3, so what am I supposed to choose? Shitty, shittier, and shittiest? Is this how it's supposed to go? Technically, I could go all the way through.
I mean, if I had to rank them, I'd probably say 74 to 2019 and 2006. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, I think that there was at least more substance in 2019. I mean, it's not saying much, but because 2006 was just like they just didn't care. You know, this is it's a horror movie, but yet it's comedy and it's campy and it's just blah.
For me, it's 74, 2006, and 2019. Because yes, while 2006 is not good, it's not a good movie. At least it felt like Black Christmas. At least it felt like a Black Christmas movie, even though it wasn't made right. There is nothing about 2019 that makes it Black Christmas. As I said, Black Christmas in name only.
You got the sorority house. You got not even a single killer. You've got Christmas. That's all I got.
The unicorn and the cat. That all got a combination of 10 seconds of screen time if you combine those images right there.
Was there even a Billy in 2019?
No.
I thought he was the douchebag.
That's not his name. That's not his name.
There's too many douchebags. I'm just like, the whole movie is full of them.
No, that's not.
He's even looking. He's like,
no.
So, as a weird triple threat, I couldn't even explain to you why. I'm actually rubbing my eyes. So this is the oddest weird triple threat. So like, obviously there is one clear winner, but I'm like, did we really win? Did anybody really win in watching these?
It feels like all the wrestlers just bashed each other open and the referee's unconscious.
Yeah.
And then somebody's got to run down the aisle to save everybody's ass and put a half-assed winner or an unconscious winner on top of the other guys, get the referee to wake up, and then do a slow 3 count. 3 count.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, overall, I don't feel like I could ever go back and say, oh man, I gotta watch Black Christmas again, the original, but I did find it entertaining, and if it comes around, I won't, I can't hate on it, because I really didn't hate it. It was just kind of like, alright, I saw it, I enjoyed it. I didn't think the actors were bad in it at all, but like Jeff said, the ending's just what kind of kills it, because it's like, I mean, it's not even up to interpretation. She's dead. Yeah. That's because that's the purpose of the phone call. I mean, otherwise, why are they doing it? And it was just stupid. Why isn't she in the hospital? Why isn't the house taped off?
Yeah.
Why is the cop sitting on the porch rather than in the house?
In this triple threat match, the audience is cheering. Well, if somebody was going to win, it was going to be Black Christmas. Thank God that person won. But yeah, they're still unconscious and they're slowly getting up and then sort of raising their fist in the air, and the audience is cheering, and okay, good, the other guys, they're still down. 2006 and 2019, they're still unconscious. They'll wake up like 10 minutes later and realize, did we win? No, not even fucking close.
The thing that probably stands out are probably the 3 final girls that are the true winners of this, because they're the only things memorable about the movies.
Hell, the one's not even really a final girl because she died in the original. They're all dead.
Yeah. But we're supposed to assume she survived.
No.
No.
Like I said, there's no clear ending.
There's no Black Christmas 2. There didn't need to be one.
Could have been. I would have probably enjoyed it more.
Yeah, I remember thinking at the end of it, I was like, wasn't there another one besides the remake? Nope.
There's multiple.
Hell, there was a Pet Cemetery 2 for fuck's sake.
Yeah, for fuck's
Let's
sake.
not
that movie's actually
talk
decent.
about that.
I know, that's the sad part is Pet Cemetery 2 is actually, it was better than what you would have expected.
Yeah.
I hated that movie.
I hated the remake, so we're on the same page.
I thought Pet Sematary 2 was worse than the remake. I'm going to be, because I'm going to say one word to describe Pet.
That's another triple threat.
Yeah, no. that should be another triple threat. There we go.
Oh, dude,
that movie's just straight up disgusting. Pet Sematary 2.
Yo, the motorcycle scene.
No. No. Shaking my head, no.
I think the real losers are in this are us, because we had to watch all.
I know.
back to back to back.
What was it? Nobody puts Emmy in a corner when I said we were talking about the triple threat, and I said I'm worried because I'm gonna be bored and have my time wasted. And you're like, oh no, I think you might be entertained. No,
I was at least entertained for like a moment there. I had to split the first movie over 4 days.
By moment, you mean like 2 seconds?
Yeah, I had to split the first movie over 4 days, and then I had spent the last 2 days trying to rewatch 6. Did I say 6? I say 2006.
2006.
My brain just like...
It just went away.
I wasted 3 hours.
I've wasted apparently 6 days. 6 days.
It was on your mind for 6 days.
Because before, I never wanted to watch the remakes. I didn't ever think I'd watch the remakes. I never intended to watch the remakes. And then we started doing this podcast, and guess what? I got stuck watching these
You watched the remakes.
I even heard other people on YouTube say, yeah, fuck these movies, don't watch them, and...
Well, we made a suggestion. It was Christmas time.
Yeah.
It still kind of is, because it's... What, the second? Yeah, the second.
It's the new year, new you.
Yeah. No, this is
That's actually a movie that
bullshit.
she directed from Into the Dark.
I mean, this is just... It's just part of the territory doing this show now. Yeah. I'm going to watch bad movies, unfortunately.
Listen, you guys just get a drop of bad movies.
Yeah, and that's enough.
Yeah, that's all I need. Because if I know somebody's getting murdered, I'm watching it no matter what.
Colin and I are the Earth's crust, 30 miles thick of topsoil, while Jeff is the fucking mantle, 2,000 miles of bad movies.
No, Jeff is the drop of dye that just spreads in the water.
I got to share these movies with everybody. How many times have I been like, yo, you got to check this scene out? Not the whole movie, just this scene. I'll send him my clip. That's it. Yeah. I just found a new one yesterday I want to check out. Dude, it got pretty good reviews.
Got good review. From who? The crew members?
No, was it Rotten Tomatoes? Actually gave it certified fresh. And I'm like, wow.
What was it called?
The Wolf of Snow Hollow or something like that? Werewolf? It's a werewolf movie.
Is that a new movie?
Yeah. Came out last year.
I'll check it out, okay.
I want to say October. I don't even know. Might be November. I don't care.
Either
way, watch it.
It was last year. I'll check it out maybe at some point. So on that note...
Anybody else have anything to add to our triple threat?
We got off the point because we didn't care about the triple threat. Like, we already knew we lost.
Oh, yeah, the match is still going on.
Yeah.
We were at a commercial break for a certain duration.
Yeah, fuck these movies.
Yeah. I remember watching the first one, the original, younger, being like, oh, this is a badass movie, and now that I'm older, I realize I was dumb, and this is still a dumb movie.
Yeah. I still like the original, but it's not my favorite by a long shot.
Yeah, I'm glad I've seen the original, and just to say, yeah, I saw it, because it is not a well-rounded and respected horror movie, but to the horror community,
It's a cult one.
It's one that people would bring up somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's essentially a cult classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I enjoyed it, but it's nothing that I have to go back to.
You don't have to. I mean, you really don't have to.
I mean, like I said, the ending kills it. I kind of felt the same way, believe it or not, for Jurassic Park 3. Like, I actually didn't think that movie was totally, like, not fun and unentertaining, but then the ending came and it was like, oh, that's it.
Oh, it's a bad ending.
Yeah. The ending was
really
What
bad.
are you talking about? That whole movie was lazy.
Completely lazy.
Well, you also got to remember that was 2001 before I knew a lot of stuff. But at that time, I was like, it's not that bad.
No, it's awful.
And now
I
haven't watched it since.
Yeah, it's like, go home and rewatch it. Then you'll
No,
understand.
I don't. I just got done wasting 3 hours.
You have it here on that wall of yours.
I bought the box set for Jurassic Park, so it has all 5 movies.
Yeah.
But what I'm just saying is that
6 along the way.
yeah, Black Christmas reminded me about just watching that movie and going, and then the ending comes and you're like, oh.
If I had to compare those two movies, total polar opposites, but yeah.
At least somebody dies and we see it.
Was that hard to admit? Because you just shook right there.
Yeah. I'm just looking through dinosaurs right now.
Alrighty, on that note.
Yeah, that concludes our triple threat of Black Christmas 1974, Black Christmas 2006, and Black Christmas 2019.
Not really Black Christmas.
Thank you all for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.